Well, good afternoon, everybody, and a really warm welcome from Manchester. Yes, we have taken our live series on the road for the first time, and we're in the beautiful city of Manchester. It is raining, but, we're in Manchester and it's winter-ish. And as you can see, I'm being joined by Walter, and we'll chat to you in a second, Walter. Apologies, we're a couple of minutes late. Traffic is never a joy in any city. But anyway, we're here now, and we're here to talk about Crystal River Cruises. Before we get started, though, we look forward to seeing a lot of you in Amsterdam this weekend on Sunday and Monday. An amazing event, lots of ships in port for us and lots of great speakers, including you, actually, joining us as the speaker. So we're very excited about that. And then don't forget, on Monday morning, if you are not with us in Amsterdam, we are chatting to Deborah Fox of APT River Cruises on a Facebook Live. So your chance to hear from Deborah and also ask your questions. So thank you for joining in. And talking of questions, if you do have questions for Walter, then please, all you need to do is type your questions in the comments bit on Facebook. Toby's here as well to get your questions. And then we can ask Walter any burning questions you have, either about River Cruise in general or specifically about Crystal River Cruises. Walter, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Andy. I appreciate it.
You are Vice President and Managing Director of Crystal River Cruises. That's quite a title.
It is a mouthful, isn't it?
You've been in travel a long time, though.
I just finished, I celebrated my 32nd anniversary of being in the travel industry.
So what was the journey?
I started off as an intern at a cruise line when I was in high school. After I graduated from uni, as you Brits would say, I was in field sales for Carnival Cruise Lines. And after doing that for 5 years, I opened a travel agency.
Did you really?
I did.
Whereabouts in the country?
In New Jersey.
Okay.
Of course, I'm from the United States, and it was in New Jersey, and I did that for 14 years. We had our lovely cruise packages that we sold and our own tours to Europe and so forth. And I sold the business and then went to work for an agency, a .com agency, Expedia, for a couple of years. And then went into the river cruise business.
As you do.
Yeah.
And and as an agent, did you sell a lot of cruise then? A lot of ocean, presumably?
I did sell a lot of ocean cruises, yeah. Of course, it's a passion of mine. It's the reason why I'm in this business. I love the ships and I love being at sea, so...
For those who don't know Crystal specifically, they are known for and have been around a long time as an ocean operator. So why the move? Because there's a couple of cruise lines have made that move since Crystal, but Crystal were one of the first to offer both ocean and river.
Correct, yeah.
So why the move?
Well, every successful company always listens to its guests, its customers, and our customers have been for quite some time telling us that we should get into the river cruise business. Some of them were saying they wanted to go on a river cruise, but they wanted the Crystal caliber of experience, and they weren't finding it. And then others were saying, we tried a river cruise, and we were quite disappointed. So they told us, get into the river cruise business, and we always listen.
And are they a particular type of holiday maker, a Crystal ocean guest?
It's the person who just wants the best, the person who wants lots of choices, who likes fine food and really great service. Not service that's stiff, but familial yet polished and friendly. And the person who likes to explore, which was the other reason why we got into the river cruise business, because then it opened up new destinations for us to offer our guests.
So Crystal being ocean ships, and they're sort of mid-sized ships, there's lots you can pack onto an ocean ship. Yeah. You're much more restricted on a river ship. So how difficult was it finding the right ship?
Well, for us, it was more about making sure that we had the essence, that we offered the essence of what Crystal is all about. So for that, it's the service and the food, and then choices in accommodations and entertainment and so forth. And it was actually pretty simple. The platform that we ended up with, of course, was very different than a typical river ship. Because we needed to have all of these amenities, our ships do carry half as many guests as ships of the same size. That allowed us to do the bigger rooms and more restaurants and so forth. We're quite happy with the end result. because our repeat Crystal guests love to say that they feel at home, they feel as if they're on one of our ocean liners. And then those who've never cruised with us before, who are looking for the luxury experience, are quite pleased because we deliver it so well.
So do you find that you get people new to Crystal but going into river first and then moving up to ocean, just as you do the other way around?
Yeah, so actually right now about 58% of our guests are new to Crystal.
Wow.
They're people who mainly have not been on a river cruise. There's a common trait. They tend to tell us they've been wanting to do it for a while. And 72% of them are saying they chose to do it with Crystal because of our reputation. So they're luxury holiday makers who are looking for a certain caliber of experience.
And talking of the guests, predominantly North American, but presumably quite a few Brits and Europeans and an international mix.
Yeah, so about 65% of our guests are from North America, and then the other 35% are coming from about 28 different countries.
Wow.
Quite a fair number from the UK, of course.
Of course.
Australia's in there as well, but we see lots of guests from Singapore and Hong Kong, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, even surprisingly a fair number of Germans and Austrians as well, which was unexpected for us.
Really, I guess.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the onboard experience? Because if you have such a range of international guests, do you change your program accordingly?
No, we stay core to who we are.
Right.
But it adds a nice element to the experience. People love to make friends from across the globe. They learn about new places to travel to, new places to visit, and so forth. And it really adds to the cruise experience overall when you have a nice mix.
So how do you start a river cruise line? Did you go straight into building new platforms, or did you transform existing ships, or what was the process?
So, it's an interesting story behind how we started. When we first announced in July of 2015 that we were getting into the river cruise business, we'd announced that we were going to have 4 brand new ships. Our owner bought a shipyard. So that as Crystal is a brand, this is what you do when you have a lot of money, you just buy a shipyard. This way we could build ships whenever we wanted to, not have to wait for building slots. The initial reaction to us getting into the river cruise business was so astounding that the owner got very excited, and just a few months later he insisted that we start earlier than the original plan. Right. So we were going to start in 2017, but he was very happy with the initial results and said, find a ship to buy, and start a year earlier. And we came upon the Mozart, which is a very unique ship. She is the most spacious ship river ship in Europe, twice as wide as any other. And she had some features that we found appealing that were similar to our ocean liners. She's the only river cruise ship that has a full wraparound promenade deck, and that's one of the distinguishing features of our ocean liners. And with the bones of the ship, we felt we could really do something quite special. It costs quite a bit of money. We stripped the ship down to the bare bones and did a complete reconstruction. She started sailing in July of 2016 and has been an astounding success since then. Right. The new ships then came in 2017 and 2018, and so we have a fleet of 5 ships. Now Crystal Mozart is going to be doing something a little different.
Okay.
So we've had some really wonderful success in sourcing new guests from different countries in Asia, and so we decided to create a tailored experience for them because they have sort of different travel needs. They like to tour differently, and they like Asian cuisine and so forth. And so starting next season, Crystal Mozart will be dedicated to the Asian travel market, doing Danube River cruises with an international flair.
So that leaves you the 4.
4, correct.
The 4 new builds. And are there plans for more to be added to the fleet that you've announced?
Not that we've announced.
Okay, well, we'll read into that what we shall. So with the 4 ships, how difficult is it to keep the same standard of dining and service on board? Because the food and service on board your ocean ships is very famous, as you've alluded to.
Yeah.
So do you have a different approach maybe to other river cruise operators?
Yeah, completely. So first off, we run our own ships. We don't outsource our operation, and that is kind of rare in the river cruise business. But when we designed the new ships, I was part of the planning meetings, in particular when we were looking at the galley. And the folks who outfit galleys on river cruise ships made proposals to us, and our culinary team was scratching their heads, thinking, "What is this?" Our chefs are saying, "I can't do anything with this."
Yeah.
The end result is the ships ended up with galleys that are significantly larger than other river ships, and they have the proper ovens and equipment and so forth that, like our ocean liners have. The culinary program on our river ships is modeled precisely after the ocean liners. We actually use the same recipes and so forth. So these are time-tested, battle-proven, and of course our guests love to have that. But we do have some regional selections that we've added because we like our guests to have immersive experiences. Now I love it when I go on the ocean liners and I see Wiener Schnitzel on the menu of the ocean liners, and I think, yes, the river ships are affecting the ocean liners. But so yeah, the end result was just something entirely different than what you typically find on a river ship.
And crew-wise, do you have crossover between some of the ocean and river crew?
We do. About 30% of the crew on our river ships come from the ocean liners, and it's interesting. There are people who've been working for us for a very long time, but they've decided that they'd like to be closer to home. So they're from the EU, they're from Portugal, and they're from Romania, and they're from Germany and Austria, whatever. And they decided it would be nice to be closer to home, but still wanting to stay with Crystal. And so they're working on the river ships. And then we have the reverse direction as well, where folks start on the river ships and then they want to go and see more of the world, and so they move to the ocean liners.
We should mention entertainment because, again, with a mid-size ocean ship, you have the space to do entertainment.
Yeah.
More restricted on river, but entertainment is part of the program.
It is part of the program, and much more robust than one would expect normally. So there are a couple of entertainment concepts that exist on the ocean liners that we moved to the river ship, Avenue Saloon being one of them. Now, I hear you've been
I love
more than a few times in Avenue Saloon.
Just a couple. I'm glad my reputation goes before me. But it's a lovely space.
Yeah, so we took that concept of having an onboard entertainer pianist who can do wonderful performances but also incorporate the guests into the performance. And we brought that on board the river ships. And we do that when the ships are cruising at night and they're not in port. When they're in port overnight or late night, we then hire really great local entertainers to perform on board. Violinists, sopranos, tap dance duos, really robust entertainers like the same caliber as that we'd hire on our ocean liners. And so they come and perform on the river ships. And then they get off the ship before we sail because we don't have room for them. That's one of the restrictions. But as well, one of the things that we're doing is we've started on our ocean liners a program called Crystal on Broadway, where we've partnered with Kevin McCullum. He's one of Broadway's most successful executive producers. He brought out Rent, and he's working on Devil Wears Prada right now, and so forth. And we've taken that Crystal on Broadway program and brought it onto the river ships. It's not often, but we have about 5 sailings a year where we have a wonderful, very talented Broadway performer who comes on board and does a cabaret routine. In between performances, they share stories about their life on Broadway and so forth. And then we connect them with local entertainers of similar caliber from Vienna or Regensburg or Passau, whatever. And so,
wow, you really do try to bring across everything that you can.
Yeah. I just can't bring the casino. That's the only thing.
Well, that's fine with most Brits, I think. Well, maybe not all of them. So in terms of the rivers that you currently occupy, you're restricted with 4 ships, I guess. But so where do you go and where would you like to go?
Yeah, so we have basically 3 of our vessels on the Danube, including Mozart. Mozart can only operate on the Danube. And then 2 of our vessels are on the Rhine. One of the ships of the 4 does an Amsterdam-Budapest run, so combines the Danube, the Rhine, and the Main all together. And we do that run in 16 nights, by the way, so that we can give more overnights. Great overnights in Budapest and Amsterdam and Vienna and so forth. But we have one of the Rhine ships a few times a year does an itinerary. It was the first one that I created personally because I do the deployment for the ships, and that's on the Mosel. It's a really lovely itinerary that goes round trip from Amsterdam, and we spent a lot of time on the Mosel, about 6 days of the 10 on the Mosel, with some great docking locations, some fantastic shore excursions, and so forth. We're very happy with those markets. That covers 85% of the demand for the river cruise industry, and we're with a small fleet,
Sure.
we want to be where the fish are, basically. So we're very happy with that.
Yeah.
As time goes on, we have constant conversations with our travel partners and our guests to see where they want to go next, and there will be some places.
So in terms of the itineraries and the shoreside experiences, again, it's because a lot of river ships do similar itineraries, not always the same, but very similar itineraries. How different can you make the shoreside experience?
Yeah, so, if you think about a place like Vienna, for instance, right?
Which
is
is
a world-class city. World-class city.
Yeah.
Once again, rated world's best city by I forget which organization.
By some people.
Someone, right. I completely agree with them.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so if you look at a typical river cruise offering in a city like Vienna, you'll see 3 excursions, right? There's a lot there. And so what we've craftily done is we've done it Crystal's way, in that luxury is about choices. People like to do a lot of different things, and so our Shore Excursion team have come up with lots of options for people to partake in Vienna and Amsterdam and Budapest, because there are things to do. Even in the small places like Dernstein and so forth, there are other things to do. You just have to be willing to find them and offer them and so forth. And that is a big differentiator for us. Our guests have 2, sometimes 3 times as many options for shore excursions as other ships on the same exact itinerary. And our guests are allowed, or actually encouraged, to pre-book their shore excursions before they get on board. So as soon as they put their deposit down, they can go online and check themselves into their shore excursions and get all of the options that they want.
And do you find that guest requirements ashore is changing? I know this Crystal River Cruises is a relatively new entrant, but have you noticed a shift in what people do?
Yeah, so of course there's a big push for more active excursions. There's a big push for shorter excursions and having more free time. There's also that audience out there, which we cater to quite well, who want to do what no one else is doing, custom shore excursions, and that's become a big market for us. On any given sailing, we'll have a good 20 to 25% of our guests are doing a custom shore excursion when nothing else anyone is doing. And so those are the trends that we see the most, and we're happily kind of meeting that demand however we can.
And activity is an important one, because wellness and that whole thing about being more active is being seen across the travel sector, not just river cruise. So does that mean that you cater for that kind of thing in terms of fitness on board or fitness ashore?
Yeah, just like on our ocean liner. So we have a full-scale fitness center on the ship. So we have a beautiful spa treatment center with spa therapists who are trained in London and so forth. We have a heated indoor pool on every one of our ships with a swim against the current feature, so you can actually do your laps without being in a lap pool.
Yeah, which
you
is
won't
amazing.
find me there, but I mean, the
people have
would
talked
love to
about
do that.
it.
Yes, and so you do find a way of yoga classes every day as well. It's nice to see this trend towards healthiness and wellness. We see it in the menus as well.
I was going to say.
Yeah, we see that as well. We have vegetarian options. We have sort of light calorie options as well. People are asking more questions about the amount of calories and butter and fat and so forth, and we've been mindful of that in our recipes. And of course, a healthier world is a world that lives longer, who takes more vacations, so I'm very happy with all of that.
Yes, we all like to be a bit healthier. Family travel and multi-generational travel is also another trend we're seeing in travel generally, but also cruise. So is that something that's catered for at Crystal River Cruises?
Yeah, so Crystal, from its inception 30 years ago, it's our 30th anniversary in July.
Of course, yes, it must be, yeah.
We have always been that luxury line that's been family friendly. Both Crystal Symphony and Serenity have fantastic children's facilities and programs. Yeah. On the river ships, we're family friendly. We don't have activities, yet our shore excursion program lends itself to children of older ages. We take children of any age on our river ships. 33% of our rooms are connecting suites.
Right.
We also have 2-bedroom suites, and so those are family friendly. We have third berths and select rooms as well. And so families have been coming to us. They've heard it. They recognized it. Yeah. They sometimes come with their nannies. I love to see that too.
Well,
but the privileged lot.
Absolutely, how lovely. Great for families as well. In terms of the itineraries, the one thing, whilst we're talking about families, is Christmas market. So you run a Christmas market, and that's a very different river experience, isn't it?
It's a really joyous time of the year. I love it personally. I'm not a fan of cold weather, but there's something really magical about the Christmas markets in Germany and Austria during that time of the year. You really get a sense of the togetherness that people have. It's really the purpose of the markets is for friends and family to come together and celebrate the holiday season. The crafts are great, of course, and people, particularly North Americans, love to do their shopping. But we run our entire fleet of ships during the Christmas market season, so all 5 ships are in full operation during the season. And we do some really great advanced promos as well to give people an incentive to get in there and book a group and escort the group even, because we have some great agent escort programs as well. And it's quite nice. My favorite part of the Christmas market season is the blue wine.
You surprised me.
Yeah.
Which actually is, it's quite difficult to explain, but it's a very festive, warming drink.
Yes,
alcoholic drink.
Lovely. It's lovely. Yeah, you forget about the cold weather once you have the blue wine.
There's no cold weather once you've done that. Given the relationship that you have with Crystal Ocean, are there itineraries where the people do an ocean cruise and then jump onto the river and vice versa?
Yeah, I was just actually sharing this with an audience that I was speaking with earlier today. So about twice a year, one of the ocean liners usually turns in Amsterdam, and we intentionally, when we're doing the deployment, we look for ways to line it up with a river ship. So just this past July, Crystal Serenity came from a Baltic cruise, and it was a 12-night Baltic cruise, and we had 17 couples who left Crystal Serenity and were escorted over to Crystal Bach, and they did a beautiful 10-night Mosel cruise, so an extension of their Crystal journey on Crystal Bach, and they had an absolutely fantastic time. We also had couples who disembarked Crystal Bach and went on to Crystal Serenity.
And what was their favourite bit?
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
I'd be dying to know.
No, I love to hear people say how consistent the experience was. They said when they got on the river ship, they thought that it was going to be different because it was a smaller vessel and so forth, but they didn't find that to be the case at all. There was one lady who was so excited because there was a crew member, a waiter in the restaurant, who she had sailed with on Crystal Symphony 4 years before, and he remembered her. And she was like, in heaven with that. I love also to see a lot of people have been combining cruises on the Crystal Esprit out of Venice and Dubrovnik with a lot of our sailings out of Vienna, because there's nonstop flights between the two, and so we've seen a lot of that as well.
Lovely. Nice to take a long holiday on ocean and then jump off and jump onto a river and do a long river cruise as well. We have had a question or two, so if you do have any questions, you've got a couple of minutes left before we have to let Walter escape. But we have had a question, here we go, something that you probably can't answer, but are there any plans for France or the Douro for Crystal River cruises?
So I love to share with people that I run our business a little differently than maybe it had been run in the past. I like to talk about things that you can sell now. And so when the books are open for you to be able to take reservations on new rivers or new ships, you'll be the first to know.
So you're currently selling, so obviously you're selling 2020 and 21.
We opened 2021 for sale a year ago.
Right.
So we open a year
Plan
before
ahead,
everyone
people.
else. Exactly. And 2022 will be opening in 3 weeks.
Wow. So in 3 weeks' time, we'll know whether there's some new destinations or new itineraries.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We will open for the ships that you know about thus far.
You're teasing us. Well, at least we know that you're not going to stop. Well, clearly you're not going to stop at 4 ships, because that would be a shame given how much opportunity there is. And we've talked about European destinations, but there are obviously worldwide destinations available as well. But I know you're not going to say anything about that either. So in terms of what's new for 2020, because I think we work so many years in advance sometimes that we almost forget the season that's coming. But in terms of new for 20, what's happening at Crystal River?
Yeah, actually for 20, it's sort of more of the same, but specifically we have a lot more 7-night departures. So when we first started, The deployment was done sort of a la Crystal style, where at the time we were doing a lot of longer cruises. And then we learned very quickly that there's a huge market for shorter cruises. And so for 20, we have mainly 7-night cruises. About 90% of our departures are 7 nights. We do have 10-night cruises on the Danube still, but in smaller numbers, and we have the 16-night journeys as well. Yeah. So in 2020, you see a lot more open jaw on the Danube, Regensburg to Budapest specifically. You see a lot more of that. We finally have a very healthy program of pre- and post-hotel options as well. So we have a lovely program to Prague, 4 days, 3 nights at the Mandarin Oriental, with 2 tours included. Great Zurich extension, and then in all of our ports of embarkation, we have a great 5-star hotel program that we're doing. In Amsterdam, we have exclusive use of the Waldorf Astoria. We're the only cruise line they're working with. They quite love us, and the Ritz-Carlton, Budapest, and so forth.
Beautiful. And finally, do you have a favorite river destination?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Everyone always asks me that. I love the Danube because there's just so much content on the Danube. But then I love the Rhine when I need a break because the pace of is so slow. But actually, you know, an itinerary that's very near and dear to me, or a river that is just simply stunning, and I think it doesn't get enough spotlight, is the Mosel. Yeah. We started a program in 2019, this year, 10 nights round trip from Amsterdam. 6 of the 10 you're on the Mosel because you have to go down the Rhine to get to the Mosel. And it's just proven to be a big hit. We have 4 voyages next year. 3 of the 4 are already sold out. Wow. We will do it again in 2021. So there'll be a lot more of the Mosel because it really is a beautiful river.
I was reading that you were keen to get UK travel agents to see the product, and that plan and that strategy continues, does it? So people will get the chance to see some of the ships, including this weekend, of course.
Yes, we're very excited to be able to host everyone on Crystal Bach. I do have to apologize in advance. So the ship is in revenue service, so she's in town with a full complement of guests. We're completely sold out. So unfortunately, we're not able to showcase the ship as well as we would like, but nonetheless, an opportunity to get you on board is something we wanted to work hard to do, and so we've made this special dispensation.
Thank you for having us.
Just for you guys.
Everyone better behave, I think, is the message. But then there'll be other opportunities once this weekend is out of the way to come and see the ships.
Correct. Our team here in the UK runs a great program where you can fly down to Amsterdam for a day and spend a day on one of our ships and have a lunch or a dinner and then fly back to the UK in the evening. So great opportunities to see the ships in one way or another.
Day with Elaine. What more could you wish for?
Yeah.
Walter, thank you for joining us. Thank you for speaking at the weekend coming in Amsterdam. We are back on Monday morning at 9 o'clock UK time and with a Facebook Live with Deborah Fox. But Walter, in the meantime, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.